everybody. This is Kicking the Tires. I'm Mason Broughton. Today I've got with me Luke.
Hey.
The man behind the magic and the cameras, Tony.
Hello.
And our special guest, Camus Glover. Let's get this started with, tell us what you got.
What have I got? Currently, I have a 2014 Hertz Penske GT and a 2019 California Special.
And I think I remember correctly from previous conversations, the Hertz Penske is kind of a low number car, correct?
Right. There were only 150 of those manufactured.
That's an automatic, right? I think
mine is an automatic. There were 10 that were sticks.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's which one's the favorite?
I'll say the 2019 only because I have had it ever since it was new, and I've driven the heck out of it.
Yeah.
Since then, the 2014, as soon as I get a garage, it'll get its due day coming again once it gets prettied up again.
Yeah.
And all, but right now it's just the California Special is the car, my go-to car.
So what do you do with your cars? Do you take them to shows? Is it just fun to drive around in? Or
Well, yesterday we just had a club function, a little breakfast, and it was about a 160-mile back road trip up to Madison and stuff, back home. But what gets me out the most is the MCA national shows, that once it gets me into a region of the country, from that part on, or after the show, I refer to it as my walkabout. And like in June, I went to a show in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I left home on the 5th, and I didn't get home until the 30th of June. So I was pretty much gone nearly a month.
So someone who doesn't know, what is the Nationals?
Oh, Nationals, that's refers to the Mustang Club of America. And the Nationals they're big national shows. Unlike our local clubs have regional shows, then you have other people that put on events that aren't even regionally recognized, but they're still car shows. Well, these are open to anybody who's a national member across the all United States. There's typically 4 of them a year. Sometimes there's only 3. Unfortunately, in 2020 we had 0, but typically there's 3 to 4 of those a year, and they get spread out. I mean, I've been to California for one, several times, several in Arizona, New Mexico, Oklahoma, New Hampshire. Start going up the Northeast.
So in those shows, do you trailer it? Do you
No.
drive it the whole way?
Oh, no. I'm in a daily driver class. I drive my car. I normally get to the event at least a day, 2 days ahead of schedule, so I can have 1 full day of cleaning the car. Because one thing, Mason knows my cars, but my cars are black, so they take an awful lot of special attention to get them clean after a road trip.
God bless you. That's all I can say. And I mean, I know that from what I've heard, I haven't gotten to participate in it yet, but I know they're held to a little bit of a higher standard, and they're a little bit more strict about where they have leniency and give in attention to detail. I know it can probably be pretty harsh being in the daily driver class.
Actually, I like the daily driver class because they do take into account that you can't drive your car and not got rock chips and stuff. And unfortunately, just recently, I hit Bambi hit me. I avoided the frontal collision. She hit me on the side, and I got a busted side scoop. And I don't know when it's going to get in. It's been on back order now for 2 weeks. But they do take into account dings that happen on the road. And as the car ages, you just can't keep it, pristine. As much as all of us would like to keep them looking brand new all the time. But it's the fun in the drive. I'm one of those guys. It's the fun of driving somewhere and having the car on the road.
How long have you been doing the MCA Nationals?
My first national I went was, I think it was 2013, Indianapolis. It's 13 or 14. And then I went, I looked back at some records. I was still working, so I couldn't take all the vacation time and go to all these different shows. I missed a few that I really would have liked to have gone to, like Reno, Nevada, and Mustang, Oklahoma was one.
Mm-hmm.
But while I was working, I went to like 6 shows. Since I retired in February of 17, I've been to like nearly 20 shows.
How many miles have you put
gone so
on?
long. Well, I just rolled over 71,000 miles on my 19.
Wow.
And that was hardly any mileage at all in 2020.
Yeah.
I mean, just around town.
Yeah, because I mean, I remember when you bought it. It was, I guess, what the Derby City show.
That was
That
the
year?
weekend I received it,
Yeah.
October of 2018.
Wow, 71,000 miles. That's amazing. You're truly enjoying it, and that's what you need to do. I mean, I try to do that myself. I know whenever I bought the little maroon car, I put 16,000 on it in the first year I had it. So I mean, you got to enjoy this stuff. You can't take them with you.
That's true. Again, of all the people that I've met through our local club and the national club and associate clubs, a lot of them do express the fact that, okay, they have garage queens, they have cars that
Mm-hmm.
they realize they can't enjoy them as much as they would like to because they're afraid of what's going to happen to the car. And I guess that's the nice thing about having, a car that, hey, I went and I ordered it. If right today I couldn't order another 19, but I could order another brand new one. If something were to happen to this one, I just would start over. If a bad accident happens.
Mhm.
Well, and I got to ask about this one because I know you got it probably a year ago, but the grill medallions that the MCA offers, kind of give a little bit of a background about that and how you get them, because I know you just got it in the Hertz Penske, correct? Not
Well,
too long ago.
boy, you got to be up to date. I just received another grill medallion in Indianapolis.
Whoa, for the California special.
Back the California special. Yes.
Well, hey, this brain don't work all the time.
Okay. Now, the grill medallion is a reward program that the national club has
Mm-hmm.
that, depending on what class you're in, occasional driven and dayway driven, their first medallion is called a red medallion.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have 20 points. A gold at a show normally is 2 points, but a Grand National, if it's the last show of the year, is worth 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
A silver is worth 1 point or 2 at the Grand National. A bronze it's not worth any points until you get to a Grand National, then it's worth 1 point.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have 20 points to get your first grill medallion, which is the red one.
Mm-hmm.
And all. So then from the red and the dayway driven class, it goes to yellow, which you have to have now 10 golds. They don't count points anymore. You have to have 10 golds. They don't have to be all consecutive. You don't have to go to every show. But as soon as you get your first grill medallion of red, you have 10 gold awards. Then you receive a yellow grill medallion. And honestly, I don't know what comes next because I'm not looking that far ahead yet.
No, nobody's made it that far yet. Well, I mean, I guess the nice thing about the MCA Nationals is that, they don't take and have you. I mean, yes, you're competing against everybody in a sense, but as soon as you sign up, you're basically competing against yourself because once you get there, you're basically not guaranteed a trophy, but you're on the point system as wherever you land is what you end up with. Everybody can walk home with something unless they're just atrocious.
If all these cars on the table were signed up for a national and they were in the same class, if they all wanted it, they would all come away with a gold.
Yeah.
Because you're going against a standard. You're not against anybody else in your class, anybody else in the show. There is no best of show and that stuff. You're judged solely against the standard that the judges adhere to for your particular class. And that's why as the classes move up, the judging gets much more strenuous. And that's why I like it where I'm at because it allows me to enjoy the car and they take into account what happens to the car. And it's pretty much the only judging guideline is clean, clean, and re-clean. And then maybe clean some more before the judges get there.
Well, I know that for sure because, I mean, I've seen multiple shows of how intense you get into it. And, I mean, there ain't a speck of dust on that car. And if there is, it's just because somebody put it there.
Well, it gets, again, the outside of the car, that's the easiest part. It's the biggest part to everybody to see. It's all the little nooks and crannies that I've gotten to the point where I understand the purpose of the judges. I look at them as like inspectors, and I know it was like job I used to have. I was an inspector, and it's like you don't feel like you're doing your job if you're not finding something. It's
Yeah.
hard to find that 100% perfect thing. And some of the little nitpicky places that they've written me up for, and they are trying to get me to preserve the car.
Yeah.
Make my hobby cleaner, I guess. And they also know that okay, they are nitpicking, looking for really small stuff. So it's like it doesn't take me out of the gold category. They'll deduct a point here or there, but I think you're allowed 4 points deduction before you lose your gold status on that. So it's like they're aware the overall car, but they have to find something, and they're pretty minute. And like after they tell you what they found, it's like okay, I'll make a mental list next show. I go around do my routine, and then I go check out those places that they spotted last time. So it's a little bit of a game.
Well, I mean, ever since he got into it, I've preached the same thing every time. Like I have him judge at my car show every year, and I judge at Fall Cities. But the biggest spot for me that I can hit somebody on every time is you go right in between the door jamb and the seat. There, it's an easy spot that if you've got a skinny little vacuum hose, you can take and get in there, and you can hit them every time for it because they just forget about it.
Well, I'd hate to tell you some of the spots that I think in Albuquerque I got noticed dust on the trunk latch, the wire that's down in the little flap down inside there. I mean, you got to look down into this cavity to see it. I mean, it's like they have to find something.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. You got anything?
Well, so being a daily driver, it's obviously very different than your garage kept Princess. And with driving it, do you do anything to keep it safe? Do you avoid certain roads, certain types of conditions? If you're using it as a daily driver, you do probably go in rain now and then, just find yourself in rain. How do you normally handle that kind of stuff?
The rain is really kind of immaterial. I mean, it doesn't take any more to clean a car that's just been in the rain than what if you drove there dry, because you're going to get road dust. You're going to spend the same amount. You have the same amount of surface area to get to clean. Now, the things that I don't like is my Ford navigation has on occasion taken me the shortest route, and it has taken me on a gravel road once or twice, and that actually has a lot of extra. That limestone dust is gritty, and it's like, okay, now you actually added an extra step. I can't go and just start cleaning the car. I have to go get all this dust off before I rub it into the finish. So there are sometimes situations I try and avoid if I know it's coming, but for navigation throws me a curve from time to time.
Yeah.
Well, like I've got this will be a real good question for you, because I mean, here we go again with you've just got a better talent at keeping the car clean than I do per se. But like my biggest tip to somebody is buying like that wash in a bucket stuff, like the Mad Turtle sells. What would be something that would be your go-to tip to tell somebody just to make sure it helps either keep their car prepared for the future, or to help them out when they're at the show so they're not sitting there spending 7 hours trying to clean up, which I know that's a crazy number, but I've seen guys that spend 4 or 5 hours doing it.
Well, prep before you get to the show is always important. If you've got a good wax on the car, you're not, no matter what you drive through going to a show, it's never going to get as bad in those couple days spent on the road that if you had prepped the car leaving the house and taking care of that last month's worth of dirt that got on there. It's like, okay, hadn't vacuumed the inside for a while. It's like you're not going to get the car that dirty driving just to the show.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of always aware in your mind. It's like, well, no eating, potato chips in the car while you're driving, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing. I mean, that's one of the bigger things for people to understand is you've got to take, and it's not prep the night before the show. It's if you know you got one coming up in 3 weeks, then go out every night and pick something to do, whether you're going to work on the interior, you're going to work on the engine bay, do a couple square inches at a time. I mean, Glenn Reese was a big preacher about that, going into your engine bay and just pick a little 4x4 square, wipe it down, get it good and polished, move on to the next one the next night. Don't wear yourself out trying to do it all one night beforehand.
Well, you mentioned.
So I've got a question since I'm sitting in for Blake and he's not here. I'm not as versed in the cars as you guys are, and I keep hearing you say one word, which is daily.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to find out what the difference is. I think I know, but I don't want to just assume the difference from a daily car versus some of these other cars. And I'm sure there's probably like 5, 10, 100,000, or okay, maybe 5 people out there that doesn't know what a daily is, and they're probably all related to me. So can you clarify what that is for me?
Everybody's definition is a little bit different. Because every car show is different on what they qualify as a daily driver.
Yes.
But a daily driver to like probably me is like what I did with my maroon car whenever I first bought it. I was driving it to school every day. So that was my main mode of transport, getting somewhere. I was putting on maybe 800 miles a week driving the car, or maybe a little less. I'm just putting a number out there, but an occasional driven would be one that doesn't get out of the garage, but for a show, or might go out on a Sunday afternoon cruise.
Okay.
Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, that the occasional driven ones will be the ones that, as you mentioned, don't see rain. they might stay home on days that, okay, if it was going, rain was in the forecast.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that have cars. I think the mudder is the term. It's like, okay, it's a car, it's a Mustang. If it's going to be a Mustang event, you can drive that car, and you don't worry about how dirty it gets, because
It might fall into the daily driven category versus your pristine one that you save for those special occasions.
it's not your prettiest car.
Yeah.
You've got one of those. I think you drive from time to time.
Well, I mean, the white car that I bought, the 2007 GT500, pretty much has become the occasional driven car, because I only take it out to club functions, which I missed out on yesterday's, which is all because back in July I got in a wreck with it. So I've been waiting on parts and stuff to get it back together. It's nothing horrible. It's just cosmetic stuff. I hate that it happened, but things happen in life. But that car only goes out on those kind of occasions or goes to car shows. The blue one is kind of the same, but the little red coupe and the green coupe are the ones that I try to drive a lot. And I don't know. I just enjoy them better, but I guess that's because that's where the first cars I bought.
Well, I kind of figured, and you didn't mention your black GT.
Oh yeah, that one probably hasn't left the garage in probably 3 months.
Oh, you just have so many other cars.
I could do one a week or one a day.
This
You
is
need
true.
a
You got to
calendar.
drive one at a time.
Get you a calendar, color code them, black day, green day, red day.
Yeah. Well, and then I used to take, and if I really liked going to a certain show, I would try to get all 5 out. But I've had a problem I've run into now, that I don't have enough drivers, and I don't have enough people signing up, because he's bought cars now.
Yep.
So that's kind of bit me in the hind
I'm
end.
trying to go to those same shows. so-
And yeah. And so all I've got's mom, dad, and my sister. And so there's one car that's got to be left out. I can't take and just hook it to the back of the other one and drive it around unless Tony wants to take and drive it.
Well, I was just about to throw in and say, listen, if you need a driver, I'll drive one, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm not taking the straight route. Right, I got a couple of routes, a couple of winding roads, but I'll get there.
We'll give them the black one.
Right,
Yeah,
have to
there you
give it
go,
to me
yeah.
a couple of extra days. I mean, hours earlier, but I'll get there. But
Couple extra miles higher
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Put GPS tracking on it before I let you take it.
Yes, you gotta do what you gotta do. I understand.
The air tag and a couple other.
Yeah, no kidding. So to get back to it, because I've ran off on a tangent now. That's me normally. But so of your trips, do you normally take in? I know you say you drive out straight, but do you try to plan a pretty conventional route on the way back to take and hit spots you've always wanted to see?
Yes, my walkabouts, I reference all kinds of YouTube videos,
Mhm.
tour book. I mean, just various stuff that I found that once you get into a state and you start seeing what's out there, then it's like, okay, I need to come back
Mhm.
to hit all this, because again, I'm not sure you weren't up to date on my it's like a grill medallion.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that
He never
you
listens.
probably knew that the Hertz Penske,
Mm-hmm.
part of its provenance is that I personally have driven it in all 48 states.
Yes. Yes. I remember that.
Okay. Once I got out there and I saw what was in the states to see, that I didn't leave myself time to go back or to do that time or at that particular moment. I've gone back and I've since driven the 19 in all 48 states
Yeah.
and spent more time doing various, going and seeing the places that I, wished I had stopped the first time when I was out there.
Well, and that reminds me of a neat thing that I didn't actually get to tell you yet about him, but the Mustang Club of America has a magazine that comes out once a month.
Mm-hmm.
He's like famous in this because he's in
He keeps
almost
showing
every issue. It seems like every time I open it up, oh, there he is. I saw him again.
No,
It's like where's Waldo?
again, it's not that bad, but what is funny is the most recent issue of a show in Albuquerque.
Mm-hmm.
I did get a picture inside when I was going through registration in the car, and then there was an article, or they had a guest appearance there, Heather Storm,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm unaware of the TV show that she's in,
Mm-hmm.
but she was there signing these, they call them hero cards and stuff, and she wrote something on my card because much like I am today, sunburned from being in the car. She said, "You've been in the sun too much. You need to find some shade." Well, that was quoted in the article.
Yeah.
Or going into covering the show. Well, what people don't realize is once you're at the event and look at the picture, like on the front cover, it's like instead of not trying to find Waldo, trying to find Camus. I'm in 3 other pictures
Yeah.
that I know where I was at.
Yeah.
I look to see from the show field. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I'm on the front cover, bitty bitty, but I'm on the front cover, and then 2 other pictures.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I remember they did the little article on the Hertz Penske for you whenever you had actually finally gotten through all 48 states. That was a nice little article there. If I find it, I'll have to give it to Tony so he can take and maybe add a picture or 2 with whenever the podcast comes out.
You asking him to do work? That's not fair.
Only if I can get an autograph, because if I can take that autograph, who knows? 5 years from now, 10 years from now, maybe able to sell it on eBay or is eBay even still around?
No.
Yeah, that's where I bought that little white car.
Okay, all right. I was about to say MySpace, but then I might be showing my age. For those of you people out there who listening, yes, you will not see me on camera. I promise you that. Your eyes couldn't take it. Your ears may be able to be accustomed to the voice, but your eyes couldn't take it. I'm having to fill in for Blake. And I'm going to just harass Blake here for a couple of seconds, if you guys don't mind, because quite simply, if I have to fill in for Brutus again, then we're gonna have to talk about a pay increase. This is a whole lot harder than I thought.
Wait. People are getting paid?
Oh, never mind.
Tony.
I'll just take that. But back to you guys.
Well, I've actually lost my train of thought. Hold on a second. Gosh, what was I going for? Man, that killed me all of a
Well,
sudden.
we were kind of like of the various places that I
Yeah.
like to hit and stuff. Again, getting me into the regions.
Mhm.
I mean, I undoubtedly have seen much more of the country. Again, since I've retired, vacation days don't really count much anymore. So
It's all vacation day.
the getting out and doing old stuff like the Route 66 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think I started actually doing parts of Route 66 probably in 17,
Mm-hmm.
just because the Oklahoma show was there. It's like, okay, let me go and do the Oklahoma parts of it. And some of these states have their own little, I'm not sure, it's called a passbook, stamp book.
Yeah.
And I've brought a couple in. This happens to be one here for, I'm sure where the camera's
There,
at.
yeah.
This covers all of the Route 66 from California to Chicago. And there's spots in here to stop and see that are historic along the way. You go in, the businesses will give you a little stamp.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the passbooks. You travel from country to country. And actually, the couple states, Arizona has their own book that just
Passport.
covers There was more places to stop in Arizona. I couldn't find my Oklahoma one, but I did that one too. And also, I actually just in July, after the MCA show in Indianapolis, I drove up to Chicago and spent one night up there, went around, saw stuff in downtown Chicago, went and saw the beginning and the end because they're two one-way streets. If you're starting around 66, it's one way going south, and the ending one is one way going north. They both end they're just one block apart on Michigan Avenue. There's just two signs up there. Impossible to get a good picture of your car in front of the signs. But I took pictures from the car of the signage and stuff. So I did.
Not while driving, right? I was
sitting at the lights. I was sitting at the lights. And so I did the Route 66 through Illinois, which finished my Route 66 saga. In June, after the Albuquerque show, I went and did California because in the past I kind of refused to go into LA traffic and their gas prices. They're kind of proud of their gas out there. But unfortunately, this past winter, because of a couple of club members' deaths and family member, I decided, why put anything off? If it's something I want to do, do it. Do it when the opportunity presents itself.
That's a big thing to live by. Is just don't take and push something off. Go experience while you got the chance and you've got the ability to do it, because you never know when the ability to do it will be taken from you.
That's right.
Well, we usually try to take and wrap this up with a big question. I know I forgot it on the last two, so that's my bad. I'm going to get punished for that, I'm sure. But we always ask everybody, if money was no object and you could take and buy whatever car you wanted, what would it be?
Well, why mention just one car? If money was not,
that's the first one that said it.
You asked for this. I'm not going to say just one car. It just so happens
I like this guy.
The show down in Melbourne, Florida.
Yeah,
it was held at a American Muscle Car Museum. I have never seen so many Ford GTs in one location. I think I was up 15.
Ooh,
and there was one actually error correct. GT40 had less than 100 miles on it.
Oh, gosh.
Right-hand drive with the bubble.
Yeah.
And what got my attention was there was a picture in front of it with, I can't think of the first name, Miles.
Ken Miles?
Ken Miles.
Yep.
So I had to go over and look at the car thinking maybe he had driven this, but it was only, it's correct, period, but that car's like less than 100 miles. Well, this museum, there's like 400 cars total in the museum. It's worth like 60 million.
Oh my God.
They said.
His car.
There's everything in there. I mean, actually this guy entered 44 Mustangs in the national show. He's got pace cars from Indy, from like 60 on up, everything, the Chevrolets, Dodges, Corvettes, everything that had done a pace car. And he's got, some Porsches, exotics and stuff in there, but I'd probably I'd take his museum.
You're the first person that we've had that actually asked about doing multiple cars, and I love that. I mean, all of us settled for one car, but money's not an object, so why are we stopping at one?
Right. If I didn't have to worry about money, there'd be no endless. There'd be no end to cars. There'd be no end to them.
Well, I guess now that we're here, thanks so much for coming on. We'll have to probably have you back sometime to give us a little bit more about some of the travels, but we really appreciate it. And this has been Kicking the Tires.